The BODY of 19-year-old Maryland woman Dacara Thompson, who has been missing for nearly 10 days, is suspected to have been found.
60 seconds with the car.
Alright, what's your hometown? Where you from? Maryland. Alright, when's your birthday? August 8th. Alright, what's your favorite color? Pink. Okay, what's your dream occupation? Real estate. Ooh, I like that. Okay, what's your biggest pet peeve? Mean people. I don't like mean people either. What's your favorite artist?
In August 2025, 19-year-old Dacara Thompson vanished after telling her father she was stepping out to get gas in Lanham, Maryland. Hours later, her 2013 Ford Edge SUV was found abandoned in Hyattsville, with her belongings inside, but no sign of her. Surveillance footage showed Dacara parking the SUV and then approaching a black SUV before disappearing. Her family and community launched a desperate search, but on August 31st, her body was found off Route 50 in Anne Arundel County. She had suffered severe head injuries and was thrown from a bridge into a grassy area below. But this is only the beginning. Who was the man behind the wheel of that black SUV? Why did Dacara's final steps lead her into danger? And how did investigators uncover the chilling trail that exposed the truth? Stay with us, because what follows is a story of betrayal, heartbreak, and a fight for justice that every parent, every daughter, and every community needs to hear. You are on to True Crime Diaries, a place where we uncover shocking cases, unsolved mysteries, and the darkest corners of real-life crime. From headline-making events to hidden investigation details, we break it all down so you can understand what really happened. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notification so you are first to know when a new case is published. These are real people, real tragedies, and real lessons we can't afford to ignore. Share this video with someone you care about. It might change a life or save one. Let's dive in. It started as an ordinary late summer night in Lanham, Maryland. 19-year-old Dacara Thompson left her father's home, saying she needed to get gas. She promised she would return soon. Her father later received a final message. She said the errand was done, and she ended the text with love. That was the last time anyone heard from her. By the following morning, her phone was silent. Family members grew worried when calls went unanswered. Their search for answers began immediately, spreading across neighborhoods and online appeals. 2 days later, her white Ford Edge appeared abandoned in Hyattsville. Inside were personal belongings, including her purse and bank cards. The absence of her phone deepened fears. Investigators reviewing surveillance footage saw her step into a black SUV outside a local store during the early morning hours. That discovery shifted the investigation toward Bowie, where the vehicle was traced. On August 31st, a grim discovery was made off Route 50 in Anne Arundel County. Police recovered a body near the South River, later confirmed to be Dacara. Soon after, authorities arrested 35-year-old Hugo Hernandez-Mendez. He faces charges of first and second-degree murder, accused of killing her and moving her body. He is currently held without bond as the community demands justice.
And we are also following some heartbreaking news tonight in the case of a young woman from Prince George's County who went missing 2 weeks ago. Today, police confirmed 19-year-old Dacara Thompson's body has been found, and they say her killer has been arrested. Our Katie Lusso spoke with Dacara's family and walks us through what we've learned from new court documents tonight. And I do have to warn you, some of these details are deeply disturbing.
This is the last spot that Dacara was seen alive on surveillance footage tonight. There are candles down on the ground and notes on this pole. Her family telling me they are absolutely heartbroken, really just trying to process what happened, but also immensely grateful for the outpouring of support they saw these past 2 weeks.
I should be back soon. I love you too. Good night.
That's the text she sent her father just before midnight, the night of August 22nd. Less than 2 hours later, surveillance footage shows her parking her car on Jasmine Terrace, getting out and walking towards towards Riggs Road. Friday, new court documents revealing that she apparently continued walking toward University Boulevard and is then seen on surveillance cameras talking to the driver of a black GMC Yukon XL Denali, getting in on the passenger side and leaving. Police say cell phone records show she remained in that car until they arrived to Cambridge Road in Bowie. It's there where police believe she was killed by a man named Hugo Hernandez-Mendez in the early morning hours of August 23rd.
We believe the murder occurred in the home on Cambridge Drive in Hernandez's bedroom.
Investigators believe he then took her body the same morning to Route 50 between Route 424 and Route 97 and threw her over the bridge above South River. It was more than a week later, around 5 p.m. on August 31st, that police would find her body. They had responded to the bridge for a disabled vehicle and happened to see her about 30 feet below the bridge on the river embankment.
That area is probably about 7 miles away from the murder location, but a good distance away from where she went missing. So we are thankful that the Maryland State Police had the ability to locate that body based on that call for service.
The news devastating for her family, her mother telling WUSA 9 Friday night that they are still trying to process everything. For nearly 2 weeks, they searched desperately, held vigils, and pleaded for her safe return.
I just simply want my daughter back. Now her community will stand behind her family as we seek justice for her.
Now, the family has created a GoFundMe page. Initially, it was for search efforts and to hire a private investigator. That money, though, will now be used for funeral costs. We've posted a link to it on our website, WUSA9.com. In Prince George's County, I'm Katie Lusso, WUSA 9.
Dacara Thompson was more than the tragedy that later surrounded her name. At just 19 years old, she was described by family and mentors as a gentle soul with a bright future. She grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, and graduated from St. Charles High School in Waldorf. Friends recalled her as creative, dependable, and eager to lend a helping hand. After high school, she joined Maryland's Service Year Program, a statewide initiative designed to give young people experience working in their communities. Through this program, she served with nonprofit Prince George's County, helping strengthen local organizations that provide food, shelter, and outreach services. Her supervisors said she carried a passion for the arts and loved finding ways to connect creativity with community service. They called her a bright light who brought warmth to every meeting and project. Family life was central to her. Relatives shared that she enjoyed roller skating nights with her father and often spent quiet hours sketching or listening to music. Her mother asked the public to treat her memory with grace, emphasizing that their grief is still raw. Those close to her said she was at the very start of adulthood, figuring out who she wanted to become and testing out different paths in life. What remained constant was her wish to support others and her ability to brighten the room with kindness. On the evening of August 22nd, 2025, Dacara left her father's home in Lanham with plans to be out only briefly. Surveillance footage later confirmed she was alive into the early morning hours of August 23rd. Around 3 a.m., cameras in Hyattsville recorded her walking toward a black GMC Yukon Denali in the rear lot of a Family Dollar store. After a short exchange with the driver, she entered the passenger seat. Investigators traced the SUV to a residence on Cambridge Drive in Bowie. Detectives believe she never left that property alive. Forensic testing later revealed blood evidence in the bedroom linked to her. Family members realized something was wrong when she failed to return or answer her phone by the next morning. Their concern grew when her bank card showed no activity and her social media remained quiet. On August 24th, relatives located her Ford Edge near Jasmine Terrace and Riggs Road in Hyattsville. Her personal items, including a purse and identification cards, were inside the locked vehicle. The absence of her phone only heightened suspicions of foul play. At that stage, police expanded the search, pulling footage from businesses and cross-referencing license plate readers. The breakthrough came when digital evidence confirmed the SUV's path toward Bowie, setting in motion the next phase of the investigation. After days of searching across Prince George's County and Hyattsville, investigators received critical leads pointing outside the immediate area. Their efforts shifted toward Anne Arundel County, where patrols and state police began scanning stretches of U.S. Route 50. On August 31st, 2025, Maryland State Police located human remains near the South River Bridge, along the eastbound lanes of the highway. The location was several miles from where her abandoned car had been found. Detectives soon confirmed the body was that of 19-year-old Dacara Thompson. Court filings later revealed grim details. The medical examiner reported skull and facial fractures consistent with blunt force trauma. Investigators believe her body was transported from Bowie to the highway shoulder and left in a secluded area. Officials noted that while the full autopsy report had not yet been released publicly, the evidence clearly supported a homicide investigation. Forensic teams scoured the recovery site, photographing the terrain, collecting soil samples, and documenting tire impressions. Highway patrol officers redirected traffic for hours as evidence markers lined the roadside. Detectives explained that the location's isolation made discovery less likely without targeted searching. The confirmation that Dacara's life had been taken devastated her family, who had been holding on to hope. Her mother, speaking briefly to reporters, asked the public to show compassion and allow the family space to grieve. Candlelight vigils soon appeared in both Lanham and Waldorf, where neighbors and classmates gathered to honor her memory with flowers, photographs, and prayers. Community leaders also responded. Officials with Maryland Service Year program described her as an incredible young woman whose dedication to nonprofit work touched countless lives. Local organizations paused their operations for a moment of silence, remembering her as both a colleague and a friend. The discovery site near Route 50 became an unofficial memorial. Residents left candles and ribbons along the guardrail, even as traffic roared past. For those who stopped, it was a painful reminder of how quickly a life filled with promise could be stolen. The recovery of Dacara's body marked a turning point. What had begun as a missing person case had now become a full homicide investigation, and police were ready to move toward identifying and arresting the person they believed responsible. Within days of the discovery along Route 50, Prince George's County Police and Maryland State Police announced an arrest. The suspect was identified as 35-year-old Hugo Hernandez-Mendez, a resident of Bowie, Maryland. According to investigators, the black GMC Yukon Denali seen on surveillance footage belonged to Hernandez-Mendez. Detectives linked the vehicle to a home on Cambridge Drive, where forensic specialists later reported finding blood evidence inside a bedroom. A false fingernail discovered at the scene was matched to Dacara. Authorities charged Hernandez-Mendez with first-degree murder and a second-degree murder. During his initial court appearance, prosecutors argued that he posed both a flight risk and a danger to the community, citing the severity of the allegations. A judge ordered him to be held without bond. Documents revealed that Hernandez-Mendez had been arrested earlier in 2025 for driving under the influence by U.S. Park Police. He was awaiting trial in that case when Dacara disappeared. Following his murder arrest, federal immigration officials placed a detainer on him, noting he had been living in the United States without legal status. Investigators believe that after meeting Dacara in Hyattsville, Hernandez-Mendez drove her to his residence, where the fatal assault took place. Evidence suggests her body was later transported and discarded along the highway in Anne Arundel County. Prosecutors have not publicly discussed a motive, and it remains unclear whether the two had any prior connection. Prince George's County State's Attorney's Office emphasized that the priority was to pursue justice swiftly and thoroughly. They noted the case involves multiple agencies, including local police, state investigators, and federal partners. A preliminary hearing was scheduled for October 8th, giving prosecutors time to present additional evidence. Community members expressed relief that a suspect had been taken into custody, but continued to press for answers. For Dacara's family, the arrest marked progress, yet it could not erase the loss of their daughter's life and the bright future taken from her. As prosecutors prepared their case, newly unsealed documents provided a clearer picture of what detectives uncovered inside the Cambridge Drive residence. Crime scene specialists reported discovering blood stains in the bedroom, which DNA testing confirmed matched Dacara Thompson. In addition to the biological evidence, police located a broken acrylic fingernail near the bed. Laboratory analysis confirmed it was consistent with a set that Dacara had been wearing in the days before she vanished. Investigators considered it a critical sign of a violent struggle. Phone records and digital tracking also played a role. Court filings showed detectives used cell tower data to place Hernandez-Mendez's phone near both his home and the location along Route 50, where Dacara's body was later discovered. During a bond review hearing, prosecutors argued that the brutality of the crime and the strength of the evidence justified keeping Hernandez-Mendez behind bars until trial. They emphasized that the discovery of Dacara's remains less than 10 days after she disappeared gave weight to the timeline investigators had pieced together. The judge agreed, noting both the seriousness of the charges and the defendant's prior legal troubles. In addition to being held without bond, Hernandez-Mendez was placed under a federal immigration detainer, ensuring he would remain in custody even if local charges were resolved. Meanwhile, the medical examiner's office confirmed that Dacara died from blunt force trauma, with fractures to her skull and face. These findings were consistent with what investigators suspected from the evidence at the crime scene. While prosecutors have not detailed the exact weapon used, they stated that the injuries were not accidental. The preliminary hearing was set for October 8th, 2025. At that session, the state was expected to outline its evidence publicly for the first time and confirm whether the case would proceed directly to a grand jury. For her family, the wait for trial has been agonizing. Relatives attended the hearings, often surrounded by community members and advocates calling for accountability. The courtroom atmosphere has been tense, with reporters documenting every development. The prosecution's case rests on the combination of forensic science, surveillance footage, and digital tracking, each piece pointing toward Hernandez-Mendez. Defense attorneys have not yet indicated what arguments they plan to present when the trial begins. News of Dacara Thompson's death sent shockwaves through Prince George's County and beyond. At only 19, she was known not only as a daughter and sister, but also as a Maryland Service Year member, a program that places young adults in nonprofit and community roles. Colleagues described her as passionate about helping others and deeply committed to the project she was assigned. In the days after her remains were found, community members gathered for vigils in both Lanham, where she had been staying, and in Waldorf, her mother's home. Attendees lit candles, held up posters with her photograph, and prayed aloud for justice. Local leaders used the gatherings to emphasize the need for safety and vigilance for young women in the region. Neighbors and classmates shared personal stories, remembering Dacara as warm, driven, and easy to befriend. For many who knew her, the tragedy underscored the fragility of life and the danger of violence in spaces people consider safe. The image of her abandoned car in Hyattsville and the later discovery of her body along Route 50 became painful symbols of loss for her community. Elected officials also weighed in. Prince George's County leaders pledged full support to investigators, stressing that accountability for her killing was a top priority. Maryland service year organizers released statements mourning her, calling her death an immeasurable loss for all who had the privilege to work alongside her. For her family, public support has been both a source of strength and a reminder of the hole left by her absence. Her story continues to ripple outward, inspiring conversations about justice, community solidarity, and the future of other young people following in her path. Even with a suspect in custody, investigators emphasize that their work was not finished. Detectives from Prince George's County, Maryland State Police, and Anne Arundel County continued to review digital evidence, including additional surveillance cameras along highways and neighborhood streets. They were working to establish a complete timeline of Dacara Thompson's movements on the night she vanished. Prosecutors prepared for the October 8th preliminary hearing, where they would outline the charges against Hugo Hernandez-Mendez in detail. This stage of the proceedings was crucial, as it would allow a judge to determine if there was sufficient evidence to advance the case toward trial or grand jury indictment. At the same time, law enforcement sought input from the public. Officials encouraged anyone who might have seen Hernandez-Mendez's black GMC Yukon Denali in the early hours of August 23rd, or along Route 50 later that week, to come forward. Tips and eyewitness accounts, they explained, could help corroborate the forensic findings. Immigration and Customs Enforcement confirmed that Hernandez-Mendez remained under a federal detainer, meaning he could not be released even if local charges shifted. Prosecutors noted that his immigration status added another layer of legal complexity, but their priority remained the homicide case. As part of the ongoing process, investigators were also awaiting the complete autopsy report. While preliminary findings pointed to blunt force trauma, prosecutors stressed that full medical documentation would provide essential details for trial preparation, including the exact cause and manner of death. Officials reassured the community that updates would continue as hearings approached. For Dacara's family, the next steps in court represented the path toward accountability, though the pain of their loss remained impossible to measure. In the weeks following her death, tributes to Dacara Thompson multiplied across Maryland. Her colleagues in the Maryland Service Year Option Program described her as a model participant who showed maturity far beyond her age. They noted that her dedication to public service represented the spirit of the program, and her loss left a visible gap within their teams. Community organizations where she volunteered also reflected on her impact. Leaders explained that she often took initiative on projects, from youth mentorship to local outreach events. Her ability to connect with both peers and older residents was seen as rare for someone just beginning adulthood. Educational circles remember her as well. Teachers from her high school shared statements recalling her curiosity and drive, noting she often encouraged classmates to pursue opportunities beyond the classroom. Former peers echoed these sentiments online, where memorial posts highlighted her humor and kindness. Local faith leaders in Lanham and Waldorf incorporated her name into sermons, urging congregations to remain united in support of her grieving family. Vigils not only honored her memory, but also served as calls to protect young women and address the violence affecting their communities. Officials from Prince George's County stated they were exploring ways to commemorate her contributions more permanently. While no formal decision has been announced, discussions have included scholarships or service awards dedicated in her name, ensuring that her commitment to helping others continues to inspire future generations. Her family, while mourning privately, expressed gratitude for the outpouring of support. They emphasized that Dacara should be remembered not only for the circumstances of her death, but for the brightness of her short life and the promise she carried into every endeavor. The investigation into the death of Dacara Thompson has shown how a case can expand across multiple counties, drawing in state and federal agencies. From a moment she was reported missing, Prince George's County Police worked alongside Maryland State Police, the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, and federal partners to piece together what happened. Court records illustrate the methodical approach authorities have taken. Every discovery, from surveillance video in Hyattsville to DNA evidence in Bowie, strengthened the timeline prosecutors now prepare to present. The decision to charge Hugo Hernandez-Mendez with first and second-degree murder underscores the weight of the case. Legal experts observing the hearings noted how prosecutors relied heavily on forensic science and digital tracking, a growing trend in homicide cases. They pointed out that the combination of physical evidence and cell data often becomes decisive in trials where witness accounts are limited. At the community level, the tragedy sparked broader conversations about public safety, trust in law enforcement, and the vulnerability of young women. Advocates stressed that Dacara's death must serve as a reminder of the importance of preventative measures, including awareness campaigns and stronger protective policies for our loved ones. However, the reflection is deeply personal. Each update in court is both a step toward accountability and a reminder of the loss they carry daily. Friends continue to gather at vigils, reaffirming that her story is not forgotten. As the case moves toward trial, Maryland officials have pledged transparency and diligence. The outcome will determine justice in the courtroom, but Dacara's legacy now lives beyond legal proceedings. She is remembered as a young woman full of promise whose life continues to influence conversations about service, safety, and the urgency of protecting future generations. That's a wrap on today's case. But the story doesn't stop here. There are countless voices still unheard, stories still in the shadows, and truths still waiting to be uncovered. Here at True Crime Diaries, we're dedicated to digging deep, exposing the facts, honoring the victims, and keeping their memories alive. Hit subscribe, like this video, turn on notifications so you're always first to know when a new case drops. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.